Everybody, I want to show our asparagus patch. You see where the hay is. I'm about to expand it again. I'm adding on to it every year. I'm going with this temporary netting. This keeps the raccoons out. I'm using temporary. I'm going to keep expanding this area and eventually go with a nice fence, but I'm not too sure how I want the layout. We're about to plant some blueberries. This is the all natural fertilizer that I use on it. And then I mark it every live plant, because I've lost some over the winter. I mark it in Tennessee orange, go balls. And I mark every plant that's still alive. That way I can keep an eye on it and I'll know which ones are dead that I think that are dead, and I'll eventually pull those up. So I'm going to plant a blueberry bush, do some fertilizing, and then we're going to go on to the apple orchard. We got more trees to plant. Everybody, we're about to go plant some trees. I want to show you this tool real quick. I'm trying to get kindling. We got another cold snap coming in. This thing's been super handy. All you need is this, and you got kindling. It doesn't get any easier. You don't smash your hands or anything like that. Let me show you the trees that we're going to plant. So something I do first, I get all my fruit trees done, and then we're going to have another tree planting season. And by that, I'm going to be planting probably 500 oaks and another 500 other type of nut-bearing trees for the deer. But I'm trying to get these to grow. These are pawpaws. Then I've got some crabapple. I got crabapple for my orchard. That way I've got some trees that can't pollinate. They need a crabapple tree to pollinate for the apple tree. Then I've got some exotic apples. I got a Honeycrisp and some others. I get these from a Mennonite community over at Muddy Pond in Tennessee. Good prices. Everything I've bought from there has not died. Anything I get from mail order, give it 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 minutes, it's gone. So I'm now buying local. I will not buy mail order. I don't care how cheap it is. And then we've got one other that I'm going to plant. It's a butterfly bush. I'm trying to build some butterfly habitat. So I'm going to load up Dumpy, and we're going to hit the woods and start planting the orchard. Show you our orchard. I try to get out here before the leaves come back up. When the leaves come up, the ticks are out, the chiggers are out, and the snakes are out, and we've got a ton of snakes. I want to show you this water break. I've cut ditches and water breaks all on this hill. Erosion's really bad here in the mountains. And if you look down, you can see I got all this fencing that's up. That's to keep the deer out. Well, you can see the deer still rub on it. I've even got an antler caught in one of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go repair the fence, and then we're going to plant the trees to replace the ones that died during our drought that we had this summer. So we're going to plant some trees real quick. So it's going to walk you through some of the logic I got here. I'm trying to get these in a row. I've got my tractor that I want to get through here. Here's one of the things you got to really think about, especially in the hills or mountains. I cannot mow this lot sideways. If I mow it sideways, I'm going to flip over, lights out, and I do a lot of work by myself. You got to think 3 steps ahead. Another thing, I've got apple and I've got a mix of crabapple in here. I'm about to plant an apple tree here. I have to have crabapple mixed in between them. Crabapple is a pollinator. A lot of these trees are not self-pollinating. Put a pollinating tree, you got apples. A lot of people plant these apple trees and go, I never got one apple off of them. Well, there's a reason you never got an apple off of them. Look in the fine print and make sure it's a pollinating tree or a non-pollinating tree. So what I've got here, I'm going to plant an apple. We're going to go down the next, we're going to go to the food plots next. I plant trees for deer too. I've got some pears that got burned up when we did a wildlife fire burn. I also mix crabapple in with my food plots. I like a mix to bring the animals in and so they can have food year round. So I'm not going to bore you with planting a tree, but that's a lot of the logic I have here too. Also in the summer I can get my 4-wheeler through here. I got a water tank on it, and I can go in between these rows and get left to right and water these trees up. Very big deal. We have extreme weather here. We'll go from summertime, no rain, you beg for a drop of rain, to the winter like we got right now, and it's too much rain. So feast or famine when it comes to the rain too. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant this tree, and then we're gonna go on down to the food plots. About to head to the food plot, but I wanted to walk you through what I've done here. I got thinking more about it. If you don't live on a steep hill, it's one of these things you just don't know till you experience it. So I've cut the hoe, dug the hoe, and I mean it's more like cut because of this dirt. I use this pipe and I cut it in half, and that keeps the rabbits off of it. The rabbits will eat the bark off the tree and then kill the tree. Then I just put a temporary fence up. If I went and spent wire and metal fence posts, I'd be broke. I mean, I can't afford it. I'm just going to bottom line it. So what I do, these are silt fence, hardwood stakes. You can get 5 to a pack at Lowe's and Home Depot. And then I just use, I call this orchard fence. It's just temporary nylon fence. And it's also good for trapping snakes, but I'll show you another video for that. So I'm going to go around and just tie wrap it down. Another thing I use Harbor Freight tie wraps. You can get these on sale with a 20% off coupon, and they're dirt cheap. There's no sense of not using these. They're gotten so cheap now, it's just something handy to have. So we'll walk through and put this around. So we're at the food plot row here. You can see I got Dumpy here to give you some perspective. I've got pear trees planted through here. These will feed the deer in the fall. You can see it's already wanting to bud. So I'm a little bit late, but I've had other things to do. So see where this bud's at? Everywhere that I'll cut, that'll fork and bear more fruit. These trees are 3 years old and they've already started bearing fruit by me pruning and manipulating. So I'll get it and I'll just cut it right there, nice and green, and I'll just keep going right through here. See how this is tall? Now that is pruned off and now it's forking out. And I'll just keep doing that. And be very decisive when you cut. And that one's pruned up. But then I want to show you this right here. Camera right here. See how this is forked right here? That is needs to be cut off. So I want to walk you through the pruning one more time. Right here, we see my thumb. That is where I cut last year. See how it forked off? All right, I've got to make that stop. So I'll come right back here, and now I'll cut one more time. Now that's going to fork off and bear more fruit. See how this is going up straight? I don't want that. Cut it. Cut it. So now look how this is all forked out. This is where I cut it last year. That's just ridiculous. So I got to cut some of it out. You're forcing it to bear fruit, and to force it to bear fruit, you have to actually cut the tree. So here, here, and by doing that, now I'm forcing it to concentrate more on making the fruit and not making the limb. So this pear tree, this is a prime example. You can see where I cut here last year, and it still decided to shoot up. So when I get done with this is going to look like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. I'm going to make it force itself to bear fruit. This one's deciding it's wanting to make limbs. So that's the end of that. I'll cut it right here. See how I'm cutting it? That seems pretty extreme. But that right there, see the bud? That is going to force it to be fruit. And I'll just keep going and going. To me it seems really weird that I'm cutting this much of a tree. You want them to grow. This actually makes them grow better. Another thing I'm going to do behind this tree line this spring, I'm going to come in with Roundup and a hatchet, and I'm going to cut these trees and spray their bark, and I'm going to kill this row of trees so these pears have more sunshine. So let me show you some more. I'm just going to keep cutting. And that seems pretty elaborate, but you can see how much it's already done that. And I'll cut here. See how this is budding right here? So I'll cut that off, and that'll be fruit. And down here at the bottom, I've got these shoots. I'll cut them too. And we'll got one more. Let's walk on down and I'll show you what it looks like from a perspective, and then we'll keep going. Like I said, I'm going to basil spray all these trees and kill this row so these trees have more sunshine. But look how this thing's just gone, it's just gone nuts. I got here in time, this bared fruit. But see this bud right here? That's fruit. I wanted to concentrate on it. And like I said, I'm also a little late getting out here. The sap's going to be running here before long. I just keep cutting. I'll come back and put this fence up too. You can see what the deer just can't leave it alone. And then see this Charlie Brown tree, or how it's all spiked out. Now I'm going to make it look like a Charlie Brown tree. And we've gone from a tree that's really elaborate and sticking out to something that looks like this. And this seems crazy. This is actually better for the tree, and this right here will be fruit, and this will be fruit. I got about 10 pears off these trees last year. I expect to get 15 to 20 this year. So we're gonna just take down the trail cams and keep heading to the food plots. I'm gonna plant through here. On the other side, I'm going to plant some crabapple trees. Deer love crab apples, so that we're planning ahead. You're always planting for the next guy, so I'm not really planting for me. I've got a grandson that's almost 2 years old. One day he'll be hunting these crabapple trees, and hopefully he'll remember that I put them out here. All right. So what I wanted to talk about, I've got a chestnut tree here, and then I've got a pear tree. This row is for pear trees, they're for food plot. But another thing I'm doing here, I'm in a chestnut program for the county in Tennessee that I'm in. The state and a couple of programs are planting chestnut trees. That way there's a chestnut in every county in Tennessee. There's 95 counties, so you don't get that many trees. This is a chestnut. Over here I've got a chestnut, and then I've got chestnuts by the road. My goal there is we're going to put a blue tarp under them when they're producing nuts. Shake those trees, then put those seeds in a refrigerator, let them get cold, then plant them, let them germinate, and that way we can keep adding in more chestnut trees and put out in the habitat. More habitat, be better for the deer, be better for the environment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plant a pear tree that I actually lost due to fire. We did a wildlife management burn here, and it got one of the trees. It's just the price you pay. It's the first time we burned here, and we had a lot of fuel. will burn in 2 more years, and every year there'll be less and less fuel, but there'll be more fertilizer into the soil. So I'm going to go ahead and plant, and we'll go to the next and head on out of here. And you got a good perspective of a shooting house that we use. Every major food plot I put a shooting house. It's got heat and 2 seats. That way you can have a kid in it, and they don't get fidgety. They can play a game. You can poke them, and they can see a deer. So I'm going to go ahead and plant. Hey everybody, well, I'm wrapping it up. I got the last of the trail cams. I got trail cams everywhere. It's Sunday evening, and it's time to go back to work. I appreciate you being out here with me. I hate leaving the place, but I wanted to share it with you. So I just walked you through kind of, I plant trees for habitat, and also plant trees for the wildlife. Also plant it for human habitat too. I like eating apples just like everybody else does. So it's almost about to be spring here, so I want to get a jump on it and just walk you through everything. Like I said, last of the trail cams. That means antlers are off, and I'll be sharing some of the footage that I captured off these cameras. I really do appreciate you watching. I really appreciate you being out here with me, and about to wrap it up. And if you like these videos, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, or leave me a bad comment. Take care. God bless.